this is the Cat's Library. I'll be your librarian today. So this is week 3 of my Smaugust challenge. Engage speed paint. Okay, so after a few videos in this series, we finally get to the big twist. Well, it wouldn't be like evident, like without me telling you, until you see the last drawing in this series. But the twist is that the dragon has been flying around happily, and then it sees the viewer. So the art direction I had for a lot of the dragons in this video was to keep them scary. And like for this one in particular, I was going for scary predator, scary, and it ended up with scary surreal horror. And I'm not sure how I feel about that. I was just like going in with a certain vibe, and then I ended up with a slightly similar but different vibe. This is still like a very fluffy and feathery dragon, because that was what I was feeling like that day. Tried some line weight variation there. Now, particularly with the colors, I had trouble with colors for like this dragon and the one after it. Did a really bright and colorful background, and then I tried to keep the dragon black. And the colorful background is very psychedelic looking. The black ended up turning out better, because like the last dragon I did in the last video was a white dragon, so I was trying to do a black dragon, but I wasn't as focused as I was at making this look right. I was trying to get this certain like painterly style where it's not exactly realistic, as you can see by those mountains. Very candy looking mountains. The tones of this image are really good. And then right here I decided to change the leg a little bit. And more shading. It ended up looking not exactly black. This one I decided to try to go more cartoony. And the underlying sketch that I had for this day was not as good. So the other half of the twist is that all of the dragon drawings sort of flow together in an animation. And I tried to make them as different as possible for a contrast. So it's not like an actual animation where you keep things on model. It's just that if you see all of the drawings put together, it looks like a whole bunch of different dragons who are moving in a similar way. And so this was that the dragon spots you in the previous one, and then this one it falls down a little bit. So it's pretty much the same pose as the last one, it's just like slightly lower. So it's like it saw you, and it was so shocked that it saw you that it lost a little bit of altitude. And this one I had so much trouble with the colors. I decided to be very experimental and do a lot of shading, a lot of lines for the colors. It doesn't have any flat colors anywhere. And the background specifically, I decided to do something very stylized and abstract. And this is very different from what I usually do. And again, this is a very scary looking dragon at the end of it. But I sort of like it. Like, even though it's like scary and stylized and stuff, it ended up looking pretty good. Now this one, I was very pleased with the pose and the line art, but when it got down to the coloring, I had issues again. A lot of these drawings that I have, since the dragon is going towards the camera, there's a lot of foreshortening. And so I had the leg go forward, and I just didn't want to deal with having front legs that day, so I didn't draw them. Very spiky. Like, at least there in the sketch layer, it looks sort of elegant. And the one leg is coming forward toward the camera, and then the one leg is going back behind the tail. And I was trying to do a few more sketch layers so that it looked right. Because, you know, if you have the foreshortening and you don't really practice it that much, then having more sketch layers helps. I sort of changed the vibe when I went to the line art section. I did that expression on the face. A lot of these have expressions since it's getting closer to the camera or like the viewer. The dragons are more detailed. So that was another thing that I was working on. I was working on less backgrounds like in the previous two videos and more focused on the dragon's pose and expression. And I also gave myself some really good poses this time around. My favorite pose in the whole sequence was in this video. It's the last one in this video. I've drawn the one pose that's after that pose, like the one for video 4. And then that one ended up pretty good too. So here we go with the lighting. And I felt like doing sunset lighting, and then this is sort of what killed it. Because, I don't know, I just wasn't on point with the colors. Kept tweaking them, kept doing all sorts of things with the colors. And it just ended up with this mid-tone. Like, no matter how much I tried. Did a shadow on the ground there. The shadow's the wrong way because it's the sunset behind him, so the shadow should probably be in front. So I was having all sorts of problems with the lighting in this video. I mean, this drawing. Like, there's some pretty good lighting in this video. It's just this particular one, I was really focused on the pose, and then I just zoned out, I guess, for a lot of the coloring and shading. These are nice colors. They're just very similar to each other and just not very values focused. This one. Okay, I recognize this one now. This is from the day that I decided to have a life. And so I got very, very busy and had to do it in 2 30-minute increments. I was going to finish up the drawing when I got home from having my life. And then my computer crashed, so then I had to complete it the day after that. So I got even more behind than I already have. Like, I've gotten up to 20 drawings, and this is the 23rd. And I decided to do an aquatic dragon, because I hadn't really done that yet. And again, I worked really, really hard on this sketch. I was gonna do probably gonna do some more for the legs and stuff, but I did not work harder on the legs. The wings and the face and all of the fins ended up really good, especially in this line art portion. This is like one of the best line arts I've done for this series so far. Something that I had a problem with the legs prop was that they're webbed. So I wasn't sure whether to do claws or like more of a frog foot. And then that was probably my undoing because I never decided on that. So I did both and didn't even focus on it. And the other thing was I did that for the base color where I just put in the fill bucket tool a whole bunch of times and then it went around the lines. And then this was very interesting style, but I don't know. I was working really hard on the tones for this one, and I also decided that I wanted it to have more of a tiger stripe situation. So it's like instead of an orange tiger with black stripes, then it's a blue tiger, and there is a sort of fish that sort of looks like this, but I did not look up a reference because I wasn't at home during the time. And those orange eyes ended up looking really good. I had some trouble with the tones and stuff. Making all of the wings lighter really helped. I decided to do the background in stages. It's a very simple background this time around, which I'm not sure if having the background so simple and in a different style actually works. The dragon looked pretty good in that last one, though. This is a first for this series, and it's that I had a certain idea for the dragon, and then I couldn't get it to work, so then I had to make it something more simple. So, like, I'm still going with scary for a lot of these, and that last one was a little bit more elegant, but like this one, the scariness was supposed to be that it's like a red, pulsating, glowing thing, and then there are a whole bunch of vines, and it's an animated tree, was what I was going for. So it's just like a shell of bark and leaves with something red pulsing underneath of it. That was the idea. And I couldn't get the tones to work, and I couldn't get it to look like leaves and branches. So I don't think that I had enough of the dragon covered in branches for it to work. It's probably had to be like completely encased in branches. And at some points of this, it sort of almost worked. I just spent a lot of time focusing on the lighting and the branches and trying to get it to look like leaves. And putting texture in. There was like a lot of texture. There was a lot of trying to find the dragon's form because like I covered it all in the vines and stuff. And so then the underlying sketch of the form of the dragon itself got lost. So that was also something that I had a lot of trouble with. This sky and background as a whole looked pretty good, like the whole way through though. Went back to trying to get it to be red and green. So it's the red, like energy pulsing out from underneath all of the vines. And here's the point where I was like, I'm just going to take all of the vines out because it's not working. I put the line art back in so that it looked like a dragon again. I made it more green and I put more shading around it that was specific to the dragon form that I was trying to do. And at the very end of this, it ended up looking sort of like a gummy bear. So this is the least scary dragon, and I like it. It's like not as complicated. I didn't do anything for the claws though. It's like that's part of what made it. I like these clouds. There's no claws on the front feet, only the back feet. This was a pretty good sketch, but I couldn't really figure out what to do with those legs that are on that one side of the body. Which is, I don't know, it's interesting. This was the one that I kept looking back and editing the previous video, and I was like, oh yeah, I was going to do one that was all line art. So I decided it was going to be this one, because the drawing after this was the one that I was really looking forward to. So I wanted this one to be a little bit more on the simple side. So I decided to go more graphic with it and do all of the shading with cross-hatching. And I did not work on the underlying anatomy, so the wings come out of the neck, and one of the wings is higher than the other and comes exactly out of the neck, and then the other one seems to come more from a muscle because you can see more of the muscle. Here's about the point where I decided to draw some underlying lines so that the legs could be seen, so that the legs were on the same level of each other, but I didn't think to do that for the wings. And I don't know, it just bothers me, I guess. Here are the line art. I was gonna do it. I don't actually know what I was gonna do for the colors. I was just decided to do the black and white at first. That bright red underneath is so that I can see the lighter highlight colors. Decided to make the dragon green for a little bit because it's a red background. And then I decided to make it an orange dragon with a green background, and I don't know why I did that. I guess I haven't really done any orange dragons yet. I think that the shading ended up looking pretty good, all things considered. The background was very graphic. Like, one of the other reasons I wanted it to be red is because this is like the moment right before the dragon is right up close and personal. You know what I mean? And so I wanted the red for that big graphic, oh no, danger, but this green ends up looking pretty good too. And now, on to the magnum opus of the episode. I started with the sword that the viewer is supposedly holding, and I went on to the dragon, and then the background wings I had on a completely different layer. So I had the background, I had the wings, I had the body, and then I had the sword. And I was really like focusing and trying to get this perspective to look right. Didn't use a reference because I haven't been using a reference as much for this video. I made the neck a little bit longer because that's one of the things that I might have been having trouble with, especially with that last one that I just drew, is that I didn't draw the preliminary sketches where I planned all of this out with a neck. I was just trying to get a block in with the wings primarily, like especially early on, and then later I put in a little bit more detail into the sketches because I was more warmed up from doing all the flying, and also the dragon's closer. So the sketches, where the dragon is closer, they're actually much better to work with. And I've completely forgot what I was talking about. Yeah, the sketches look like feathers, so I made this more of a feathered dragon. The design of the dragon itself, I think I've had better designs in here, but it's all in the pose, and it's all in the shading, and all of the foreshortening and the mood and all of that is really good. Well, I mean, there's probably better foreshortening that could possibly be done, but it's good for me. I drew a little bit of the feathers overlapping the tail. So the tail is going in between where the feathers are. The feathers of the wings are wrapping around, and the tail is between where the back of the wing and then the front of the wing. So I had 2 layers like that, and I did that. I did the shading in purple, and I set it to a color layer so that if you shade and then you put it to a color layer, then usually it matches the background a little bit more. And then the purple matched this reddish salmon color that the dragon is, and it also matched with the green of the wings. Nice contrasting colors there. Probably could have put more green on the dragon itself. I put a little bit of it in the fur, in the ears, and then I tried to make the scales on the underbelly a little bit lighter. This doesn't really show up as much, and also yellow in the shading of the wings there. Have some darkness, dark shading, very dramatic shading here. Spent a lot of time on that. And the sword sort of vanishes at the end of it because it has high contrast, but it's not as light. It's about the same mid-tone as the rest of the dragon. But otherwise, this was it met my expectations. And that's the end of the video for now. Next video will take longer because hopefully I'll be more on track. Only have one drawing for the next video done. When I did the last video and I said this one would be out soon, I had like 3 dragons done for this video. And I'm like getting this one done faster, so yay. More on track. So, okay, bye, see ya.